So Warframe just got done with their latest dev stream that took place at the Tokyo Game Show, and they gave us all the details on the game's next big update arriving October 2nd, Koumei and the 5 Fates. And they also gave us a little bit more on Warframe 1999. I can't lie, this is the most excited I've been for a Warframe update in a minute. Let's get straight into the details of what's to come. Koumei the 5 Fates releases with our newest Warframe Koumei, themed around RNG and dice rolling. Her passive, Shadow's Trinity, has one of her weapons inflict a random stats effect for a duration. In addition to this, she has her dice mechanic as displayed in the bottom right of her HUD. When casting an ability, she rolls the dice. Rolling 2 6s will grant said ability that is cast a bonus effect. Her first ability, Koumei, sends out threads that look like tripwires, and enemies caught in these will suffer a random elemental stats effect. If you roll a double 6 on this cast, the threads will inflict one of every elemental stats effect. Her second ability, Omikuji, visions a path ahead of her in which completing the steps to a challenge will grant her a decree. Rolling 2 6s will grant you this decree without even having to complete the challenge. I'm not sure if there's a limit on how many decrees you have, they didn't say, but I imagine there wouldn't be one. Her third ability, Omamori, surrounds you with charms similar to Baruch's third. Each charm has a chance of making an enemy attack heal you instead of damaging you, and the number of charms you have is determined by your dice roll. Rolling a double 6 in this instance will grant you invulnerability for the entire duration of the charms. And finally, her fourth, Bunraku. It strings enemies into the air like puppets, while her dice roll adds its rolled number of random stats effects to the enemies affected. 2 6s will maximise the stats effects inflicted and extend the range to behind Koumei. We'll move on to the next stuff real quick, but I gotta say, I'm super excited for this Warframe. It looks really fun. I love the decree mechanic, it sounds super unique, and I think it's going to make her really powerful. And she also looks badass. Default skin is excellent, love the helmet. The animations on the floor with the Puppet Master vibe, super badass. Can't wait for this frame. She will of course also be releasing with her 2 signature weapons. First being in the primary Higasa, an umbrella gun inspired weapon. ADSing will give you a shield that deflects damage, and any damage it takes will charge up the alt fire attack. Using the alt fire will get rid of the umbrella. And then the melee weapon, the Armanata, where X swings will give you random buffs and max roll will give you all of the buffs at once, and both of these weapons will have augments available within the still path upon release. And this release will be coming with an event in which you can unlock Koumei. Now, more Warframe and ability centric stuff. Not only is this update releasing with 3 new deluxe skins, but it's also coming with more than just one rework. We've of course got Caliban's deluxe and another Vault and Nova deluxe skin on the way. And most of you already know that Caliban is coming with a rework, so we're going to cover his first. The new version of his Razor Gyre is now a fast dash that grants health and energy refund upon enemy hits, and it inflicts a new status type exclusive to Caliban called Tau status. Pablo described it as making enemies more likely to be affected by other status from you and teammates. I think he means maybe it makes the other effects more potent. Not too sure what he meant by that. Moving on to his second ability, it now has faster casting, it no longer has the lifted status, and enemies are instead held in place for easier targeting. There is no enemy cap anymore either. This ability was already insanely powerful and very underrated, and now it's going to be even more insane. And it's also a helmet, and you get a free Caliban with this update for a limited time when you log in. The new version of his third ability now casts all 3 of the sentients at once, so you don't have to mash it, and you can cycle between 3 different sentient types. Conquilist has the highest melee damage and copies your 4th ability, which we'll get onto in a bit. The Ortholist has ranged attacks and spread the Tau effect with a turret, and the Summerlist summons other random sentients and gives you and teammates shields. It wasn't specified whether his regular shield bonus from this ability has now been made exclusive to the Summerlist. I hope not, but there's a high chance that might be a thing. And his 4th ability now has way faster casting, and you're invincible during the cast. It can hit multiple times upon passing by and strips per hit rather than at the end of the blast, so that way the explosion damage makes use of the strip, as before the explosion would take place before the armor strip. The base damage has also been increased, and every enemy even just tagged by its ability will do the explosion after. And I can also imagine combining this with the Conquilist when they're casting the 4th as well is going to be really strong. Next up, we have a Nova rework out of fucking nowhere. She's going to get a new passive. Enemies slowed down by a 4 have a higher chance of dropping a health orb, and then enemies sped up by a 4 have a higher chance of dropping an energy orb. Her first ability is now recastable. It starts off with more projectiles, so it's easier to get to that DR cap. It affects both health and shields now, so the damage reduction is overall more effective, and it does blast damage. Her second ability can be recast to send out way faster and is easier to control, and it's now larger and easier to charge with a variety of different weapons. And I must say, seeing the footage of you being able to just instantly send out this ability upon recast, it looks so much more convenient and I can't wait to use this thing again. Her third ability, Wormhole, now instead of having duration and charges is just charge based, and you can see above the portals the icon, that way you can tell how many times you can go through it before it expires. And you can also hold down the ability much like Nidus's first to see where it's going to go. And her fourth ability now has a hold to cast mechanic, allowing you to go between Slower and Speedver. The regular tap, I'm assuming, will be slow, and then you can hold it down to speed enemies up. Pablo did say that apparently you won't have to go into negative strength to get the speed bonus high, so in that case I'm assuming that maybe high strength affects the slow and the speed. And apparently it's also had a few touch-ups, as well as other abilities in the game based on how the damage multiplier works, just some quality of life. I am so stoked for both of these reworks. I love it when they do big overhauls like this for Warframes that I can then revisit. To me it feels like I'm playing 3 new Warframes with this update instead of just 1. And Nova of all Warframes as well, I feel like she didn't even need this, but I'm very glad that she got it. And some more Warframe changes. Wukong is getting a nerf to his slam. Right now you can go into Cloud Walker and spam slam attacks, and you can do it very quickly because it cancels the full animation of the slam, but now the full animation will have to play out once you exit Cloud Walker, so you can't spam this as fast anymore. And now CC immune enemies won't be affected by Celestial Stomp. And then Hildryn is getting a nice little buff out of nowhere. Her charge shot on her 1 is going to deal more damage. I'm very happy with this change because I think Hildryn has one of the weakest exalted weapons in the game, so I'm hoping this is a substantial change. And she's also going to be invulnerable for a duration when exiting her 4th. They didn't specify how long, this could just be considered iframes. Either way, nice survivability and damage buffs for Hildryn. Cross-platform trading and gifting will be arriving with this update as well, and we're also getting some brand new incarnon weapons, or rather the incarnon adapters. And these include the Sestra, the Dera, the Okina, the Sybaris, and the Sicarus. Moving on past that, we have a huge companion rework. This is a part 2, I believe. One of the biggest and best changes here is that we can finally mod our companions, or like our pets, melees, separately from our build. Trying to squeeze in mods like Bite into a build where we're using so much health and utility to keep our pets alive, it's just a massive inconvenience, and now we can use Bite on a melee slot instead. And these melee weapons not only have their own sort of stance, it acts like a stance in the sense that it gives you more capacity, but it's less of a stance and it gives you an effect, for example, targeting enemies that have overguard. And of course there's going to be a bunch of new mods and ways to give your companions elemental damage on their melees. Super excited for this, although I am a little bit concerned as to how strong these pets are going to be. I'm interested to see how they balance this to make sure this game doesn't become, AFK frame all over again. It'd be kind of dead to see people just soloing missions with their companions. There's other miscellaneous buffs here and there. They're also touching up the Sentinels, some touch-ups to abilities, but the focus here was really put on the fact that they want to make the Sentinel weapons more in line with the best Sentinel weapon in the game right now, the Verglass. I don't know how strong they're going to make these because you wouldn't really want the game to be played by a Sentinel, just running around and having everything get one shot by a little companion. So whilst they may be buffing damage here and there, they said the focus was more on weapon mechanics. I'm excited for the Sentinel stuff, but I think I'm more intrigued by the fact that maybe our cats and dogs can now run around and start going on murder sprees whilst also handling themselves survivability wise, because we now have way better options to mod, more capacity for utility and survivability, and keeping our damage separate.
To address this, we've got over 20 updated precepts and counting. Some just needed stat adjustments, others needed total reworks. Our hope is to breathe new life into pets which have otherwise been outclassed, such as the Helminth Charger and the Predicites. For more information and a full list of what's changing, check out, again, our dev workshop on the forum, where you'll find all this information. To recap, expect Companion Rework Phase 2 to include beast weapons, new mods, AI improvements and behavior customization, new Sentinel weapons, and many precepts reworked.
As for one of the specific precepts they spoke of, Pablo did talk about the Smeeta Kavat for a bit. Basically, they really like the loot bonus, however the fact that it kind of often causes players to have to wait around for another loot roll wasn't a playstyle they liked, and instead they've come with an incredible approach of making this now a mod. You can put this mod on any of your pets to give yourself an extra chance at a reroll of a loot pool for more loot. And to compensate for the Smeeta, apparently the Smeeta gets, I guess, a higher chance of a buff. So very similar to how Vacuum became universal back in the day and turned into Fetch, we now have a mod for better loot on our companions. And finally, other than a few quality of life changes coming with Koumei, I spoke a little bit about the 1999 update again. On the 16th there will be a playable demo within the game, where you can play as somewhat an exterminate type mission apparently within the 1999 tile set. I didn't really spoil too much about this, but the fact they've got a demo for this teaser update is super cool. Definitely looking forward to this. The stuff that intrigued me the most about this update news was that they gave us more intel on the Warframe coming after Koumei, and that is Site-09. We've seen this guy already, and they confirmed that he is sniper themed and will have an exalted sniper rifle. I'm a huge fan of exalted weapons, so I'm even more excited for this frame now. We got a closer look at his model, and we also got a look at the animation when you convert from the 1999 skin to your Warframe, specifically on Mag. And that'll about do it for my entire summary of Devstream 181. If you found this useful, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and follow my Twitch, link is in the description. Appreciate all the support lately. Let me know what you're most excited for in this update. For me, it has to be the combination of the deluxe skins, the reworks, and the new Warframe. Personally, that's where my love and passion for this game actually is. I just love trying new kits and stuff, so I really can't wait. Definitely gonna have to pump out hella videos when this update drops. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care of yourselves. Till next time.
選択こそが私に残された道。孔明よ、私の定めとは何？